Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Verna Bharath. This is TTT News. It's time for the headlines. Government again denies rumors of Paria Fuel Trading Company being sold. Another day of protest by Judiciary staff, fearful of losing their jobs. President Weeks urges the nation to turn putting on colorful socks into action to improve the lives of those with Down syndrome. And in sports, Skerritt ready to work and energize West Indies cricket on and off the field. Judiciary staff protest for a third day on Monday as fears continue to loom about the future of their jobs. Their leader, PSA President Watson Duke, remains convinced that once the restructure of the judiciary goes into effect on September 1st, workers will be rendered jobless. This despite Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi refuting the claim. Janine Brown has this report.
Dozens of administrative staff of the judiciary lined the steps of the Hall of Justice on Monday to express their dissatisfaction over a planned restructure of the system. When the Criminal Division and the Traffic Bill of 2018 goes into effect on September 1st, several jobs will be made redundant, while other judicial officers, including clerks of the peace, will have to reapply for their positions. Both the Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi and the judiciary have affirmed, however, that the process would not exclude existing workers, but rather seek to absorb them into the new system. But PSA President Watson Duke maintained his position that government was infringing on the independence of the judiciary.
You see these workers here? They want to put these workers on contract. And the maximum they're giving them is 5 years. Why 5 years? Why 5 years to coincide with the term of a government? Because they want to use them to achieve their ends.
His views were mirrored by UNC Senator Gerald Ramdeen, who was also outside the Hall of Justice at the time of the demonstration.
If it is that the Hall of Justice and courts throughout the country must grind to a halt, and that's the sacrifice that has to be made, let it be done.
At the helm of the changes is a goal to transform the judicial system into one that operates with efficiency. But Mr. Duke was of the view that the backlog of cases plaguing the system was no fault of the administrative staff.
The backlog of causes has more to do with the rules that governs the court. And if they want to deal with speeding up trials, they have to deal with the rules. And they have to deal with judges. They have to deal with lawyers. These are the ones who will ask for an adjournment. These are the ones who sometimes are not prepared.
The workers will protest again on Tuesday from 8 a.m. Janine Brown, TTT News.
The 3 Freeport men who were kidnapped by fake police officers on Sunday have been released. Police reports say the men were beaten with pieces of iron and a cutlass by their kidnappers. Brothers Aaron Rupnarine, 20, and Sunil Rupnarine, 24, and their friend Shazam Hussain, 30, were taken to the Freeport Health Center and were treated for minor injuries. On Sunday, Hussain and the Rupnarine brothers were liming in front of a mini-mart in Freeport at around 4 p.m. when a car and a van pulled up. 2 men with guns who identified themselves as police officers grabbed the men and sped off in the car. Freeport police are continuing investigations. President Paulame Weeks says Trinidad and Tobago has made considerable progress when it comes to the treatment and acceptance of persons living with disabilities. More from Mahalia Joseph Wharton.
As she spoke on the final day of the UN Down Syndrome Conference at the Magdalena Grande in Tobago on Monday, President Paulame Weeks said society must be alert to spot the inequalities, obvious or subtle, that exist in the treatment of persons with Down syndrome.
Yes, we have made considerable progress since the days when people would uncharitably and thoughtlessly refer to those with Down syndrome in derogatory terms. Perhaps not out of malice, but out of sheer ignorance and more than a dash of insensitivity. Into that void stepped the Down Syndrome Family Network, with its mission to be the national advocate for the value, acceptance and inclusion of people with Down syndrome.
She said the public is always excited to shop for and put on colorful socks as part of the campaign to raise awareness.
But that does not necessarily translate into any concrete action to improve the circumstances of those with Down syndrome and those who look after them. But the Down Syndrome Family Network has been persistent.
Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Kelvin Charles, said the network's perseverance has assured that the public continues to be educated on Down syndrome.
I believe that Down syndrome would have continue to remain a taboo topic in our society. And more significantly, Down syndrome persons would have been robbed of opportunities to participate and be included in our communities and societies as a whole.
The Chief Secretary said he has witnessed the potential of those living with Down syndrome. He added that when one understands the potential, they would understand the need for inclusion. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
Rumors about Paria Fuel Trading Company Limited being sold to Barbados Simpson Oil Limited are completely false. A strong statement by Minister of Communications Stuart Young after a graphic on social media claimed the company was sold to Sir Kiffin Simpson of Barbados, an alleged golfing buddy of Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. The government and Trinidad Petroleum Holdings Limited have since sought to clarify the information being shared. Marie Hull reports.
Less than a week after, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said at a post-cabinet briefing that government had taken no position to sell Paria Fuel Trading Company, a new allegation surfaced on social media. This graphic said the company was sold to Simpson Oil Limited of Barbados. Immediately after the post, Minister of Communications Stuart Young, via the Office of the Prime Minister's WhatsApp channel, said there's no truth to the information being circulated and claimed that the information was a desperate attempt to mislead the public of Trinidad and Tobago. Also attempting to clear the air on the matter was the Trinidad Petroleum Holdings Limited, which said the process for inviting, receiving and assessing proposals for the company's refinery asset is currently in train, and to date, the company has also sought expressions of interest from the potentially interested parties. On March 11, 2019, Trinidad Petroleum Holdings Limited issued an overview of the assets and non-disclosure agreements to 58 potentially interested bidders, asking them to indicate their interest. The company claimed that it is currently at the stage of receiving such expression of interest and entering into confidentiality agreements with those parties that wish to proceed further. Trinidad Petroleum Holdings said at this time the process is at a preliminary stage and still ongoing. Marie Hall, TTT News.
And remember, you can also keep up to date with the latest stories on Facebook and Twitter at TTT Live Online. More to come. Stay with us.
First Citizens, take a loan right now. For your car, house, for a vacation. For your own land or for education. First Citizens, easy does it.
A First Citizens Easy Does It loan makes it easy for you to do it all. A new vehicle, your own home, a vacation, education. Visit firstcitizenstt.com to find out more. Apply today.
Take a loan right now. First Citizens, easy does it. First Citizens, easy does it.
First Citizens, we put you first.
There's no time like now and no show like ours. Start your day with a smile and view TTT every morning at 6 a.m. as Lisa, Rishi, and Carrie keep you in the know with what's trending on social media, the island vibe, and bring you the latest from the worlds of sport, technology, current affairs, and much more. Who says informative can be fun? Now, shaping tomorrow today, weekdays at 6 a.m. on TTT, Talk City 91.1 FM, and streaming live on Facebook at TTT Live Online. Easter Sunday, get lost in the world of award-winning films. Green Days by the River, April 21st at 3 p.m. Be viewing TTT to experience the breathtaking film adaptation of Michael Anthony's beloved novel, voted People's Choice for Best Narrative Feature at the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival, recipient of the Carmichael Award for Exceptional Storytelling at the Barbados Independent Film Festival. Green Days by the River proves that locally produced films will captivate you and transport you to other worlds. A tale of love, loss, and intrigue. Green Days by the River premieres April 21st only on TTT.
Pleased as punch. That's a word from the new president of Cricket West Indies, Ricky Skerritt, as he addressed the media following his stunning upset of the former president, Dave Cameron, 8-4 at the Pegasus Hotel in Kingston, Jamaica.
A message which we know was getting onto fertile soil, but we really didn't come in here with any hard guarantees of votes. We figured we would get 6 and we would be happy if we got 7. The business involves, I think, one of our 10-point plan, which is the HPC. We believe that the High Performance Center and all of the grassroots cricket leading into helping young people to become professionals and creating a greater cadre of potential international players, that we have to start working on that right away.
He added that some changes will be needed in order to move the process forward, but is ready to hit the ground running to ensure things pick up quickly to the benefit of the sport in the region.
We're going to have to get as much information updated on finance and human resource issues before we know exactly what potential there is. But the first order of business is to meet with the executive management, hear from them what are some of the key challenges that they're facing, and then start to work on the priorities that we have established, and we might have to do some fine-tuning from time to time.
Disappointed best described the reaction of Dave Cameron after he lost his post as president of Cricket West Indies. He sounded supremely confident before the vote, but after felt others who gave him their word let him down badly.
Trusted the process, that we're men of integrity, and I banked on that, and I've said to the bankers that we're looking to finalize these financing arrangements with, that we're a group of, on integrity. We stand for something, and so that's from where I'm very disappointed that men gave me their word and then went a different way. But I had no doubt. I was really confident that the system would be the integrity of the people that we sit with at the meetings, that we would operate at a level. I hope that this doesn't change the financing arrangements we've been trying to put in place, but I can only hope for the best for West Indies cricket.
TNT's Chris Richards Sr. finished off a brilliant week with a 3 under 69 on the final day for a combined 280 to finish at 8 under par to win the 2019 TNT Golf Open at St. Andrews in Mocha. Richards led from day one and never really felt threatened, putting the icing on the cake with another subpar score to sew up the title in style. Tied for second were Ben Martin, who also shot a final day 69 but ended with 289 total, the same as last year's winner Dustin Risden, who carded a 74 on the final day. All three got an invitation to play in the Jamaica Classic, which is Latino American Tour event set for early May. Talan Rajendranath, who is now playing on the Mackenzie Tour in Canada, finished fourth with Edgardo Arazola Jr. in fifth on 293. Wanjo Lee shot a 70 on the final day to win the amateur title and secured an invitation and entry into the Jamaican Classic and also an automatic pick onto TNT's Caribbean Amateur Golf Championship team. Trinidad and Tobago also strode away from Barbados to secure the President's Cup, with Wanjo Lee and Gabriel Vananoste having a 588 total to Barbados' Xavier Wiggins and Julian Jordan, total of 332. It was designed out of a need for proper guidance and life skills on the part of several young men and women in society, And as a result, the program called Sport for Change came about. The Young Men's Christian Association, in a continued effort to develop young minds and local talent, embarked on the program, which was launched at its premises in Port of Spain.
This program is yet another initiative by the Y designed to target the youth through sport and have the opportunity to educate and guide youth in understanding work ethics, health rights, interpersonal relationships, leadership, civic responsibility, and financial literacy.
He was especially pleased with the response of the youngsters for whom the program is intended and pointed to the many virtues participation in sport can provide these talented youngsters.
Other than the usual health and physical fitness benefits one can gain from being involved in sport, sport also adds great discipline, desire for betterment in life, the development of positive camaraderie and social skills, enhances or creates self-confidence, and it allows one to dream big.
More to come. Stay with us.
Welcome to our Lipton Tea Factory. Here we work together with nature. Our irrigation system, the rain. Our light source, the sun, soaks the leaves with 4,000 hours of sunshine. And when we pick the mother peak of freshness, we put that sunshine into your cup of Lipton tea for a rich, natural taste and aroma.
Easter Sunday, get lost in the world of award-winning films. Green Days by the River, April 21st at 3 p.m. Be viewing TTT to experience the breathtaking film adaptation of Michael Anthony's beloved novel, voted People's Choice for Best Narrative Feature at the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival, recipient of the Carmichael Award for Exceptional Storytelling at the Barbados Independent Film Festival. Green Days by the River proves that locally produced films will captivate you and transport you to other worlds. A tale of love, loss, and intrigue. Green Days by the River premieres April 21st only on TTT. Who says informative can't be fun? Smile now every morning with Lisa, Rishi, and Carrie as they keep you in the know with what's trending on social media and bring you updates from the worlds of current affairs, sport, technology, and much more. Start your day right and be in the know with what's happening now. Now, shaping tomorrow today, Mondays to Fridays at 6 a.m. on TTT, Talk City 91.1 FM, and streaming live on Facebook at TTT Live Online.
The weather is brought to you in part by the Water and Sewerage Authority. Water, use what you need.
The meteorological drought warning continues across Trinidad and Tobago. We have also been seeing the reservoirs dropping further as we've gone through the month of March. Looking at especially Navet, it was at 56% at the beginning of March. It's now dropped to 51%. Well, obviously, it's normally 3/4 full by this time of the year, and down towards Hollis as well, down to a 58% when they're normally at just at 71%. And as you can see, most of the reservoirs, with the exception of Hillsborough, are recording below normal levels. And in terms of the atmosphere, it still remains quite dry and stable, especially for the southern part of the Windward Islands. But up towards north, there may be a few showers coming through. But for Tobago, for tonight, mostly clear. Only the brief shower expected, maybe just across the hillsides through Castara, coming down towards Mason Hall and into Buku throughout the day. But overall, most of those showers should be on the light to moderate side. Similarly, for Trinidad, a cool night, especially away from the northern range. Just 1 or 2 showers expected first thing in the morning. But overall, you will notice only a bit of clouds coming in through Blanchishes, Arima, Maraval. A few sprinkles expected through the mid-morning, maybe just settling out through the latter half of the afternoon. Most of the showers, again, attracted to the hillsides of the northern range. Once you get into central and the southern areas of Trinidad, it remains mostly sunny, if not a touch breezy, especially along the eastern shoreline, less breezy along those western areas. So for San Fernando and Point Fortin, it will likely feel very warm at times. during the heat of the sunshine. By night, looking at a cool 22 degrees Celsius in Trinidad, 24 in Tobago, 31 will be the high in Tobago to tomorrow. Wednesday, it does drop slightly. There's a bit of cloudiness around, a few showers expected, and then it rises once more for Thursday and Friday, a touch breezy as we end the working week. Similarly for Trinidad, once you get past the occasional shower on a Wednesday, again, those showers will be light, only moderate for the most part, very few far between. Once you get into Friday, more sunshine emerges for both Trinidad and Tobago. Offshore, we keep the slight to moderate chop offshore, 1.5 to 2 meters, with those easterly winds of 15 knots. So a few whitecaps are expected, and northeasterly swells of 8 seconds through Tuesday and continuing into Wednesday. Now, across the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, it's mostly settled, not much in terms of showery activity, only the brief shearline there across the northern Windward Islands. Up towards the north for Hispaniola, we do have a trough that has been bringing a few showers towards the north of the island there, and then there's another one expanded downwards as we go through a Tuesday. So only a few brief showers may spark the thunder shower across the hills around Santo Domingo, but for Port-au-Prince, partly cloudy, 32 degrees Celsius, and for Kingston, mostly sunny, 30 degrees Celsius here, and Havana, partly cloudy at 28. For the Leeward Islands, it remains quite sunny for Antigua and for St. Kitts. Up towards the north, occasionally bright weather expected. Down towards the south, just occasional showers as you go through Barbados and St. Vincent. So that's your weather, and that's it from me.
The weather was brought to you in part by the Water and Sewage Authority. Water, use what you need.
Fasting for Lent is a normal practice, but Father Robert Christo says it's not only abstaining from food, but from other vices as well, like cursing or reaching to work late. He explains that fasting should bring closer community and change the core of the person who takes on the holy challenge. Marie-Therese Bernard spoke with the Roman Catholic priest.
To fast is not only to sacrifice, but also to include the other. My soul is there. This is the message from Father Christo as he spoke with TTT News on the promenade. For you. He says with the many different types of fasting, in Lent, this devotion must benefit not only the one who undertakes to fast, but also those in the community.
The key thing is when you fast, whatever you deprive from it, you give up in time or money or whatever, pleasure or whatever, you have to hand it over to something good. St. Thomas says clearly that if you do nothing good to the other, fasting is zero, which means that it must benefit the other. You could be fasting and your face crappy. Doesn't make sense. You fast that you go deep into your very self, and the virtuous act now is to give to others. So if you deprive yourself from meat, you take the money gained from meat and hand it over to the poor.
The purpose of the fast, he says, cannot just be within oneself, but out of it should come virtue, an answer to a higher calling, a move to greater generosity.
Be merciful. You have to know the intention and not the attention, because the intention is that you can go deep into yourself, into your human structure and your being, because you know after when all is said and done, everything goes back to dust. So I want to find myself. And next Lent, I'm going to be deeper into myself, because the secret for spiritual living is finding your core. And the fasting should allow you to enter into your core and give back to somebody else in need.
I'm restored. Father Christo says it is a double-fold proposition that while abstaining from food or self-pleasure, you celebrate with those who have less.
Fasting must add life. So if you're pregnant, something may die, you don't know. If you're a laborer, your work could be affected. And when you're less than 18, you just can't benefit from it, because it's life first before fasting and self. You have to be very careful. Basically, you have to fast, but also you have to feast. You just can't fast. You have to feast on charity, feast on love, feast on union with God, and feast on giving to the other.
Marie-Therese Bernard, TTT News.
Funding is needed for the Special Olympics team if they are to compete in more events at Olympic Games. The sentiment was expressed by the head of TNT's Special Olympic delegation, David Benjamin, on TTT's Now Morning program. He said a strategic decision had to be made regarding the events for the different disciplines they competed in and the athletes who represented the country in the recent Special Olympic Games.
Usually we'll carry a football team, 7-a-side football team, as opposed to 11-a-side because more numbers, more funding, right? We also cut our volleyball team, which is usually a staple, and we weren't able to take all of those disciplines that we would usually participate in.
Here are the details of the day's market activity on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange.
Trading on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange produced a volume of 47,240 shares, with a traded value of $2,468,789.72. Trinidad and Tobago NGL Limited was the volume leader, with 12,713 stock units changing hands. Investors bought and sold the stocks of 15 companies, with 5 increasing, 3 declining, and 7 ending the day unchanged. The composite and the all TNT indices advanced, while the cross-listed index declined.
More to come. Stay with us.
Introducing the biggest, bestest deal around. KFC's Big Deal. 2 delicious pieces of chicken, 1 regular side, and a large drink for only $29. Now that's value for money. KFC, it's finger licking good.
The National Union of Government and Federated Workers says it has saved jobs of daily rated workers at the Diego Martin Regional Corporation. On Friday, a group of workers protested outside the head office of the regional corporation over a reduction in the amount of days they are rostered to work. President General of NUGFW, James Lambert, says the reduction in work is caused by an estimated shortfall of $5 million in budgetary allocation to the regional corporation. He says rather than send workers home altogether, the union agreed to cut down the amount of days.
In 2016, the people who were hired or recruited in 2016 is 82 of them, and they will be working 5 days per fortnight, 5 on, 5 off. The 187 that was recruited in 2017, they will be offered 5 days per month until such time for the new fiscal year that begins in September.
That's a wrap on this evening's TTT News. On behalf of all of us here, I'm Verna Bharath. Have a good night.